Greetings all. Hey, here's my plans for the day. I will get questions over worksheet number 9 or day 9 when I get back, when I see you again. But here's my plans today. Today's mainly a work day. You need to have your class notes in front of you. Hopefully my sub's given those to you. If not, he or she will give them to you now. And then what I have is I have about a 15-minute video of Chapter 5 review for you to kind of use along your review sheet. And if you peek at it real fast, like I say, simplify each of the following should help with problems 1 through 8. Simplify each of the problems should help with 11 through 18. That way you have some examples to use as you go through the review sheet. My goal is to give you over an hour to work on that review sheet. So it's a little longer. I realize that. Chapter 5 is pretty tough, so I want to give you as much time to work on that. So make sure you use your time wisely. And we will quiz next time. So here goes. Follow along with me on your class examples. I'm going to click through this pretty quick because, like I said, I don't want this video to last more than 15 minutes. So on the early ones, we're just simplifying. Let me review the rules with you. I don't even think you need these, but I will. Remember, when we're multiplying two things together, guys, we add the exponents. If a negative shows up, it simply goes on the bottom. So this part would really become a to the 5th, b to the negative 3rd, c to the negative 8, because I added each of those exponents. And then, to get rid of your negative exponents, those go on the bottom. So there's my answer to number 1. A to the 5th over b cubed, c to the 8th. Number 2, I went ahead and made it a little tougher. Remember, if it's a power to another power, that's when you multiply your powers. So for me to simplify 3x squared y to the 4th, all of that to the 4th, I need to take 3 to the 4th. So this becomes 81 x to the 8th, y to the 16th. That's what I get when I simplify just that piece of it. Times x to the positive 4, y to the negative 12. Now I'm not done yet, so let me multiply. So now I'm going to add the exponents. So I'm going to get 81 x to the 12th, y to the 4th. So there's that one simplified. Here goes my next one. Remember, if it's a division statement, our rule is subtract the exponents. Only subtract the exponents. I still got to reduce 12/18. Another name for 12/18 is 2/3. Now I'm going to go 5 minus negative 2, which becomes 7. So I've got a c to the 7th on top. Then I'm going to go negative 3 minus 8, which is negative 11. So I'm going to have a d to the 11th on bottom. So boom. Remember those rules. Here goes your number 4. These are some of what we did just last time before. Whenever there's a subtraction sign, distribute that negative 1. So I'm going to think of this as 3x squared minus 6x plus 11 plus 6x squared, because that's the opposite of negative 6x squared, minus 9x plus 12. Now go through and combine your like terms. 3x squared and 6x squared make 9x squared. Negative 6x and negative 9x make negative 15x plus 23. So there's that answer. I didn't do an addition one because addition is right there. Here's my next one. This is a multiplication. So what I have to do on this one is use the distributive property twice. I'm going to have to take this 2x times each thing. And then I'm going to have to take this 3 times each thing. So here's where I'm going to go. I'm going to go 2x times x squared. I'm going to get 2x to the 3rd. Go here to here, plus 22x squared. And then here to here, minus 12x. Now I'm going to come back and distribute this 3. So I got plus 3x squared, plus 33x, minus 18. And then just quickly go through and find your like terms. So I've got 2x cubed. Looks like that guy's a loner. There's a squared and there's a squared for 25x squared. There's an x and there's an x. So negative 12 and positive 33 look like 21x minus 18. So there's that one. So I've done a subtraction, which is also addition. I've done a multiplication. Now when you see division, that means synthetic division. And then don't keep going too far. So I see a +3 there, so that means a -3 goes right there. My upside down division sign. My coefficients are 2, -4, 11, and -10. And then just remember this process. We've done it a ton. Drop down that 2. -3 times 2 is -6. Add them up and get -10. -3 times -10 is +30. Add them up and get 41. -3 times 41 is -123. Add them up and get -133. So remember, we started with a third degree. So now I got to knock that down to a second. So these are the coefficients of 2x squared minus 10x plus 41 with the remainder of -133. And don't go any further. It didn't say find all the roots. It just said divide it. So boom, you're done. So there it takes me through number 6. On my little section here, these will help you with section 19 through 22. I'm going to tell you that f of x is x cubed plus 5x. I'm going to tell you that g of x is x squared minus 4x plus 9. And I'd like to find each of these. So f of -5. Well, since there's a negative number, when I type this in my calculator, I'm going to go -5 to the third plus 5 times -5. And once I hit enter in my calculator or equal in your calculator, you should get -150. Like I said, on the video I'm going to keep it rolling, so I'm not going to pause to give you time to type that in. I'm hoping that you already know how. Number 8, let me also point back on number 7. If you plug in a number, you're always going to get a number. If you plug in something with a letter, you're going to get something with the letter. You're going to get something with the variable. So to find f of 5a, I'm going to hunt down the function of f, which is right there. Wherever there's an x, throw it away and plug in parenthesis 5a. So I'm going to have 5a to the third plus 5 times 5a. And now when I simplify this, 5a to the third power, 5 cubed is 125, a cubed plus 25a. And that's my answer. Here's my number 9, g of 7a. Play the same game. Go hunt down the function of g. Once you find it, plug in 7a. So it's going to look like this. Parenthesis 7a squared minus 4 parenthesis 7a plus 9. When I simplify this, 7a times 7a is 49a squared minus 28a plus 9. And then there's my answer. Number 10 is a little harder. I'm going to go hunt down the function of g. Once again, there it is. Whenever I see an x, I'm going to throw it away and plug in x minus 7. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to have x minus 7 squared. But instead of squaring it, I'm going to write it out 2 times so that I remember to use FOIL on it. Minus 4 parenthesis x minus 7 plus 9. Now I'm going to FOIL this out. So x times x is x squared, not 2x, it's x squared, minus 7x, minus another 7x, plus 49, minus 4x, plus 28, plus 9. Go combine your like terms, so there's an x squared. Here's negative 7x and negative 7x and negative 4x, which is going to make negative 18x. Here's a 49, a 28, and a 9, which is going to make 86. So that should help you out with numbers 19 through 22. Here's how you're going to handle number 23 through 26. If you see these directions, Find all zeros, real and complex, exactly. That word exactly means that you will probably be using the quadratic formula. That means I need to figure out where this graph crosses the x-axis, but no ugly decimals. So here's what you have to do. You have to graph this. You won't have time to do this because, like I said, I'm going to keep the video going, but you're going to graph this and find a good point that crosses the x-axis. And I've already done that in this case. When I did that, I got a graph that looks something like this. So it crossed right there at -1. So I know that one of my zeros was at -1. The other two are going to be imaginary. So here's our steps on this. I'm going to put a -1 out there, not a positive one. Whatever your calculator says is what you put out there. And then I'm going to list the coefficients, 1, -1, 2, and 4. And I'm going to do synthetic division again. So drop down this 1. -1 times 1 is -1. Add, get -2. -1 times -2 is 2. Add them up and get 4. -1 times 4 is -4. And you better get a 0. If you don't, you messed up somewhere. That means you put a 1 out here when you shouldn't have, or you messed up in here. Now this becomes x squared minus 2x plus 4. That's what that part becomes now. That means that my a value is 1, my b value is -2, my c value is 4. I need to now use the quadratic formula to get my other two imaginary answers. So it's going to look like this. The opposite of b, plus or minus -2 squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a, which is 2. And then this becomes 2 plus or minus, and when I ran that through my head real fast, I got -12 all over 2. Hey, remember, since there's a negative right there, I know that there's an I in my answer. So this becomes 2 plus or minus, I know there's an I. The square root of 12 breaks down into square root of 4 and square root of 3. Because I know the square root of 4. So this now becomes 2 plus or minus, the square root of 4 is 2I radical 3 all over 2. And then bring it home, a 2 goes into all of those, so I'm going to get 1 plus or minus I radical 3 all over 2. So my zeros are -1 along with 1 plus I radical 3 over 2 and 1 minus I radical 3 over 2. So I had a plus and a minus. So those are my exact roots. We had a whole worksheet where we did that. So that may be the possibly most work that we have to do. Number 12 on your worksheet's quite a bit of work also. So here's my number 12. If the directions say this, find all zeros exactly, and then write the polynomial in factored form with integer coefficients. That means I'm going to have some parentheses where I have x plus and x minus. So here's going to be our steps. I need to graph this. And like I said, I've already done that to keep the video going. But I need to graph that and figure out where it crosses the x-axis. And when I did that, one of the zeros was -5. Another 0 was 2. Now another one, when I did my second calculate 0, my calculator showed me 1.33333333. So here's what I did. I went and typed in 1.33333333 in my calculator, and then I hit math, enter, enter, and my calculator told me that it's 4/3. So those are my zeros, but you're far from done. To get -5 as an answer, I'm going to put it in parentheses, so remember we go backwards. So this becomes x plus 5 To get a positive 2 as an answer, this becomes x minus 2. And then I'm going to leave a little space. This becomes x minus 4/3. But remember, we can't have a fraction. So I'm going to multiply by my denominator. So here's my final answer, guys. I'm going to have that x plus 5 in there. I'm going to have that x minus 2 in there. And when I simplify this right here, this becomes 3x minus 4. So there's how we just factored that cubic. So I had x plus 5, x minus 2, and then 3x minus 4. So that's what they mean by factored form. If you see factored form, there's going to be a bunch of parentheses. And then I just have one more. My number 13 is just like number 12, except for you're given the zeros and you're going to have to go backwards. So here's my last one. Number 13. Write a polynomial with integral coefficients that has the given zeros. This will be like your number 31 through 34. So here goes again. There's a little bit of algebra work in this one. To get negative 2 as an answer, there's going to have to be an x plus 2. To get negative 4 as an answer, there's going to have to be an x plus 4. To get positive 3 as an answer, inside the parentheses is going to have to be an x minus 3. Remember, it's the opposite of what you see. If it's in parentheses, you take the opposite. If you see the answer, it's the opposite in parentheses. And then you're not done yet. What I have to do now is multiply all this out, so that when I'm done, I'm going to get something to the third power. So you get to pick the order. But I'm going to multiply these two out right here. So I'm going to get x squared plus 4x plus 2x plus 8. And when I simplify, I get x squared plus 6x plus 8. I now need to put that in parentheses and multiply by x minus 3. So I got to take this x times each item in here. So I'm going to get x cubed plus 6x squared plus 8x. Now I'm going to take this negative 3 times everything. So I've got minus 3x squared minus 18x minus 24. And then when I simplify, it looks like I'm going to get an x cubed. I'm going to combine that 6x squared and negative 3x squared for a positive 3x squared. I'm going to combine this and this for a negative 10x minus 24, and I'll just set that equal to 0. You could set it equal to 0 or say f of x is x cubed plus 3x squared minus 10x minus 24. Either one of these is a great way to do it. Okay. Hey, it looks like my video is going to take approximately 20 minutes. I'm at 18:27 right now. By the time I give you a couple of directions, then we'll be right at 20. So there's what we have so far. My sub, or Miss Jensen, will pass out the review sheet at this time. On your review sheet, I need you to do questions 23 through 30 first. Do those first because those require the graphing calculator. The others on the review sheet do not. So make sure you get these done before you leave my room because my calculators cannot leave my room. We will quiz next time. And since this sheet's a little bit longer, it'll be worth more points than most other sheets. Today's and next time will be. So it'll be worth more points. So make sure you spend the time and get it done. We've only got this test and one other and then a final, and then all of our grading are done. And then some of you could use a couple of good grades to make that GPA look a little bit better. So there's what we got going, guys. My video's done. Good luck with your review sheet. Anything that you're stuck on, I should be back tomorrow. Feel free to buzz in early in the morning or during seminar, and I'll get your questions figured out. Good luck.